that's making news, and of course sights and sounds after Mighty Warriors annexed their title, the beach soccer crown, over there in Adan. It was a weekend of fun in Adan. We'll bring you the details of that as well, including the scores and what else is involved. But let's talk about the big news, obviously, and that is the AFCON draw for Morocco 2025. Sadly, the Black Stars of Ghana will not be there. And we'll also talk about that very briefly. It's not a big issue. We know Ghana won't be there. But those are the big stars. Ivory Coast coach defending, the Ivorian players there, if you can recognize them. And coaches Rigobert Song and the rest. But I've got two gentlemen here who do justice to that and tell us exactly what it means. For the first time, people reckon this AFCON could be the toughest. Every group is potentially the group of death because there's no such thing as a cheap team, or even the underdogs. Once upon a time, Sudan and Comoros and the rest, they are really in for business. Nanedu, let me start with you. What your take on the draw?
I think we are looking for for the best AFCON ever in African football. 2024 AFCON in Ivory Coast. I remember Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president, Ekan Hwasem said, this has been the best AFCON we've witnessed in African football.
After Ivory Coast?
After the Ivory Coast AFCON tournament. And we are looking for the best in Morocco. Morocco hope is to host the World Cup.
If you say Morocco AFCON, a very European AFCON, do you agree?
I agree with them because Morocco, they have everything that most of these advanced countries
European AFCON, yeah.
Because Morocco is one of the countries that almost
do semi-finals last World Cup, Qatar.
Yes, the first African country to be in the semi-finals of the World Cup.
But host and win has its own pressures. I mean, yes, Ivory Coast did it. Oshe, Mali, Zambia, Comoros are, it's not going to be an easy ride for them.
I think it's a tricky group, one of the difficult groups, and their first game is against Morocco, Comoros. That is the opening game of the AFCON 2025. When you look at recent times, the performance of these teams when it comes to African football, Zambia is being coached by a former Black Stars coach, Abraham Grant, former Chelsea coach, and they have one of the best players in the game. Passing Dakar is doing well with Leicester. Fashion Senkala is doing well with the club football, and they still have some experienced players who are helping the national team. Stepola Sunzu is still part of the team, and remember the famous Zambia team that won the Nations Cup in 2012. Most of them are not around. The likes of Inkasu, Collins Mbesuma and the likes, they are not around, but they have great players in recent time. They are doing well for the national team, so it's going to be a difficult group. When you look at the Malian national team, Bissouma, one of the key players who is doing well for Tottenham Hotspur in the English Premier League. So I think Group A, together with Comoros, the last two editions of the AFCON, they beat Ghana, and they are in the same group with Ghana in the World Cup qualifier. So Group A is one of the toughest groups in this particular AFCON qualifier.
No doubt about that, Nanedu. Thanks. Group B, Egypt, South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe, and I know what already people are saying. Zimbabwe always due to take a scalp, so it's not. South Africa, Angola have a rivalry. Egypt would want to bounce back and do something. Another tricky group.
Another tricky group it is, yeah. And after the draw, the first thing I told myself after taking a look at all the groups was there are no minnows in African football anymore. Without a doubt, all of them deserve to be at the AFCON. Of course, it's the biggest event on the continent. That's the Africa Cup of Nations, and they would all love to be there. Where it gets tough is when you are placed into the groupings, your preparations, and then when it gets to match day itself. So you look at the rivalry of some of the clubs or some of the countries that we have in the groups, it tells you that there are not going to be any easy games.
In fact, the MC said it yesterday in the event that, all those who matters in African football are there. And the best 24 teams in Africa now are there. That is why I was worried about the situation he was talking about.
They are there, and I mean there won't be anyone who will be a pushover. Back in the day, we would have countries that we would easily write off.
So I was watching CNN, and the panelists, all of them were agreeing that this is going to be the toughest assemblage of the best teams in Africa. So back to what he's saying, does it mean that Ghana, by the virtue that we didn't, the fact that we didn't qualify, does it mean that Ghana is no longer? It's just one tournament we've missed in what, over 2 decades?
Yes.
Or is that summary justify that Ghana is no longer in the reckoning because just we didn't qualify?
You and I saw the matches we played, the quality of teams we played, and how we even struggled.
Look at this group, another tough group.
So I mean, as for the Francophone countries, they will almost always cause a stir when they go to the AFCON. Senegal, DR Congo, and especially Benin, who have risen to certain heights when it comes to development in African football. Maybe this will be said about Botswana, but hey, like I said, there is no country that is going to go into this competition not well prepared and not well deserved. La Côte d'Ivoire are going in there. We saw what they did at home after hosting and winning. Cameroon will come in as the indomitable Lions. And so again, people will be looking outside this group to take a look at the chances of the likes of Gabon and the likes of Mozambique. But you see, back in the day when we used to take a look at some of these groupings, and then we are almost always quick to conclude that A and B will qualify, C and D will hustle. It is not like that anymore. Take a look at this group. I think this is also a tough group.
D is grown, but that's another deadly group because I think
Sudan, Equatorial Guinea, Burkina Faso, Algeria. Remember Sudan? We didn't go at the expense of
Sudan. This is a group of equals.
Yeah,
because of the performance of the current teams.
Right.
When you talk about African football, the last AFCON, the top scorer for the AFCON in Sue plays for the Equatorial Guinea national team.
Sure.
One of the best teams so far in African football now is the Sudanese national team. They are there.
They are there, yeah.
Algeria 2019, they won the AFCON. They are there. They are still having some of the old players in the team. Ismail Banassa and some of the key players in the team. When you look at the Burkina Faso team, the informed African players in Europe now, some of them are coming from the
Burkina. Yes,
Dango Ouattara, who scored hat-trick for Bournemouth during the weekend, plays for this team. Isaac Abure, who is doing well from losing town, is also playing for this team. Some of these key players, when talk about African football, are playing for the Burkina Faso national team.
That is very true. And it gives them a lot more insight into what kind of quality they are going into the competition with, in terms of the weight of the teams. But don't forget that AFCON also has its history. And the history has it that, especially when the North Africans are in contention, sometimes they are very tricky sides to deal with.
And funny enough, they all do well.
They all do well. That's the thing. And so it makes the AFCON a lot more interesting if you don't make it. And that is why the best 24 are there. Ghana is out. Because we did not deserve
to be there.
Based on what we saw.
Yeah, and it's a lesson. Some I don't know if Nanaid will agree with this. Some are actually saying that it's a blessing in disguise.
I think so
that
too.
We sit back, we watch from afar, and we analyze and look at where we are now as Ghana, as a football nation, and perhaps that would give us that anger to bounce back in a better way. But the World Cup qualifiers are also around, so we need to be sure we don't repeat the mistakes.
It's the best time for us to reset our national team. But I don't think the current football people want to reset the national, because they are still going the old-fashioned way. Management committee, let's maintain the coach, because the coach needs a 3 years more contract. I think we have less than 6 months of his contract. Yeah, permanent. We are going to pay more than $1 million for him compensation. So we are thinking about things that going forward it will not help our national team, rather than looking at where the national team finds himself. That is the major problem for the Black Stars now.
Let's put it this way.
Coach, I went to man for a minor qualifying for AFCON. That coach can help you qualify for World Cup. No.
So the thinking is that you have a very serious condition, illness, but you say you don't have money to get rid of it at once.
How do you sign a contract?
How do you do it yourself?
Coach sign a contract. Only coach sign a contract. And you don't put a performance clause in it. So when to man qualify AFCON, and so automatically you just redeem. And the coach didn't qualify for AFCON. Yeah, for AFCON. Round of 16, yes, Saki coach. And the question is this era. 6 continuous Nations Cup. Now your benchmark was semi-final. Ghana forced we need an upgrade. We want to win the Nations Cup. To come back now, they were coached to do semi-finals of the AFCON.
And they still there.
Now 24 teams instead of 16 teams. Coach meant we need 1 game or AFCON qualify. We couldn't qualify for AFCON. Now you are telling me that coach will qualify for the World Cup.
But there's a challenge. And the challenge is that, yes, the media, people like yourself, the analysts, they've all said that there's a problem. Ghanaians are not happy in the streets, you know, but the people running the game are saying that, you know, everything is fine and we will continue like this. That's the challenge. How do you you know, marry the two when clearly football people believe that things are going okay, there's no panic, there's no crisis, it's okay. I mean, we didn't qualify, it's not a big deal, it's sad, but is that how Ghana should be thinking as a football nation? Which country would accept this, Prince?
Well, acceptance of the status quo may be very difficult for a lot of, you know, Ghanaians, and especially on a continent like Africa, where at the stadium when the national team is playing, you've got over 10,000 coaches also playing, or as it were, also watching the game. Now, the majority have...
You're talking about Ghana?
Yes, I'm talking about Ghana.
You mean 30 million coaches?
I just wanted to limit it to 20,000, not 30 million, because we all of us will fit into the stadium.
Okay.
But for at least for those of us who are at the stadium,
40,000.
and not more people are also observing the game.
Right.
You understand? This same majority are telling the whole world that our team is not good. Our coach, there are questions. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people say, oh, it is okay. So let's continue. So now, when they go to the stadium, you see the apathy. Look at Ghana's last qualifying match. I could count the number of people at the Accra Sports Stadium. Hitherto, it was not the story. Anytime Black Stars gets onto the field, they are supported by a whole house. Now, Kumasi, which has almost always been our dreaded home grounds, where our invincibility was only broken just a couple of months ago, Kumasi cannot even pack the Baba Yara Stadium.
Against Angola, it was packed to the rafters.
It was packed to the rafters. Are we sure that they were all there, not driven in, just to gain support? Because there were a lot of stories.
Yeah, they wanted to watch the Black Stars.
They were, okay, so now...
It's our team, the biggest brand.
So that is even
football.
to our advantage. So we pack the stadium, and we can't win. So it tells you that...
That was a close game.
There is something that we may not be doing wrong, or
Wait,
there's something... Just a second. There's something that we're not doing wrong, that we are not correcting, or there is something fundamentally wrong with the team. A lot of people, a lot of connoisseurs have watched Black Stars. They know the quality, they know the pedigree. For the
consistency of Angola, we've seen it over some years now, is what's
working.
Paying dividends. Could it be maybe that's what the GFA is thinking? That even though Otto Addo has failed, let's give him another chance? Or is it that in modern football now, the margins are so small that you just have to do it. You just need to get the best. Excellence is rewarded, mediocrity is done away with. We need to decide which one we want.
There are other countries that have seen lesser performances, but they had faith in their head coach. They kept the head coach. Eventually, after a couple of rounds, he was able to win the AFCON, and I'm talking about Senegal.
And Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast have also done the same.
There is no powerhouse in African football. The coach will fail to qualify for AFCON, and they will maintain him.
But this is Ghana.
When you speak at the Senegal situation, Senegal, the 3 times that coach were winning for the 3rd time, the 2 of them, they were going to the AFCON. This situation, we couldn't even qualify.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that again brings another point.
The Egyptian national team failed to qualify for AFCON, and you will be maintained as a coach.
So Ghana,
you can coach the Moroccan national team, fail to qualify for the AFCON, and will be
then
maintained.
You still be at position.
You can coach the Nigerian national team and fail to qualify for AFCON, and will be maintained. Why Ghana?
Because
then you tell us
why
African
Ghana?
coaches need to some by head coach, they maintain.
answer now. Why Ghana? Because Ghana, the standards have dropped and
drastically.
The football people have accepted it.
Maybe the FA president of Togo, and you fail to qualify in Togo for the Nations Cup, I will sack you as a head coach.
Right.
Because 24 nations, almost half of the continent.
And you could
almost half of the continent, and Ghana did not qualify. Before MC was talking about the team that has won the AFCON. After Egypt is Cameroon. After Cameroon, Jampe said the next team Ghana will not qualify. Then he came to Nigeria and Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
So it means still Ghana we are powerhouse when it comes to African football. You don't qualify for AFCON, and you tell me that
I don't think we're a powerhouse.
Maintain the head coach.
We were a powerhouse.
Yes, I don't think we're a powerhouse.
But the FA is also saying that, hey, wait, guys, Otto Addo qualified to the World Cup, so he can do it again.
So you've given him a second opportunity, and he has failed woefully. Why let him continue?
Okay, on that note, that question, let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll jump. It's a big topic, no doubt about it. When we come back, we'll talk about the Ghana Premier League and also the big vetting that's happening on Wednesday. That is the Minister for Sports and Recreation designate, Honorable Kofi Adams, will be vetted. We'll have a look at what's happening around and why Nilanti Vanderpoy went to pay him a visit. We'll be back in just a jiffy.
GPL headquarters.
right, welcome back. I know we could spend all day, all year, all month, or whatever talking about the AFCON, and we will never.
One day, sir,
We will never. Yeah, we'll capture. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But let's come back to the GPO. Remember, that's the core reason we're here. We'll come back on it. And the weekend, glut of matches again. Very interesting results. Second round, full blast and very tight results. Nobody, won by 2 goals except for Bichim against Nations. So that everything keeps changing. But before then. Okay, let's go through quickly and then I'll introduce you to one young man who has joined us here in the studio. But Nanedu, are you surprised? Accra Lions, Midiama, surprised by that scoreline?
Very surprised because, when you look at the first round, Team Bakwana, they were struggling in the Ghana Premier League with Accra Lions. And Midiama were doing well in the Ghana Premier League, especially what they did in the first round. So for Accra Lions to beat them in the first game of the second round, it means they've turned things around, Accra Lions lost some key players and Omobua team the last season. From Dominic Nsobila to Abbas Tamari to Shokan Mohammed. Key players left the club. Bassett and the key players left the club. Even the likes of Apiga, Blessing, Sasudankwa, and of course, those players are even struggling this particular season. So, first one, things were difficult for the Accra Lions team. But second one, first game, if we're able to beat Mediama, it means you want to do something in the second round of the Ghana Premier League.
Lagos City's Accra Lions, Karela, are not looking good at all. They're not looking healthy. But for Accra Lions, they've made the intentions clear that they want to stay in the Ghana Premier League. Can they do it? That's the question. Bibi Omodano.
It's difficult. When you look at the first game of the second round, there was no away win. But you monitor the first Ghana Premier League, teams were given an away win in the Ghana Premier League. But the first game in the second round means pure business has started. Teams really want to survive in the Ghana Premier League. So there was no away win. It's only 2 draw games that teams went away and were able to get that particular result. So it tells you second round, everybody wants to find a way to get the maximum 3 points at home. No wonder Accra Lions was able to get the maximum 3 points at home. Lagos City's, as it stands now, Yahweh champion 3 games. He lost only the game against Accra has to folk. The rest is yet to lose a game again. So it tells you second round teams not starting here and they really want to get a result that will make them survive in the Ghana Premier League.
All right, guys, let me introduce Evans. Kwabna Sapong. He's joined us in the studio today, and he's a football analyst, sports journalist, specialized in football, and he's also going to share his thoughts. It's great to have you here for the first time. I hope you're good.
Of course, I'm good. I'm doing very great.
Excellent.
I thank you for inviting me today, Yaw Ampofo Ankrah. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Let me have your thoughts. I know we're done with the AFCON and the Black Star, but I'll give you 1 minute to give us a summary of your thoughts on Ghana not being there and the fact that other countries are really crazy about making sure their coaches do it or they're out. Why is Ghana different?
Well, first of all, let me commend the FA president of Morocco, Mr. Fawzi Lejar. If you look at the preparation that they put in, and yesterday at the Mohammed V Theatre, which was inaugurated in 1961, the way they've turned it out to become embodiment of African spirit. And,
the re-engineering.
Yes, and it hosted the AFCON draw for the the final draw. I think they've done well. If you also look at the way and manner it was conducted in that short while, led by the Beninese American actor Jimon Honsu and then the Nabila Kelani, their TV personality and actress. It was, awesome ceremony, and it's so sad that we don't have Ghana there. If you look at the anticipation for this particular AFCON, per what Nanedu and Prince were saying, you can clearly see that if you go to the way, if you check the way Ivory Coast, they hosted this year, early last year, which is the AFCON 2023, and the way they put in much energy. Now, Morocco, being the nation that has been able to, live up to the bill, and when it comes to AFCON, you can clearly see that right now, as we are talking, they are the best nation in Africa. The last time they lost is against South Africa in the AFCON. They lost at the round of 16. And so you can clearly see that Morocco, the anticipation is there and they are ready. But it's sad for Ghana that kept every Simon Okreku under his era from 2021 AFCON in Cameroon. In the Ivory Coast, they just ended one. And if you look at the way we failed woefully to qualify with this, a novice coach who they still believe or they still trust, it tells you that Ghana, we don't have the standards when it comes to football anymore.
Very interesting indeed. The thinking or the plan is that when Ghana qualifies for the World Cup, they'll come and say, we told you so. But hey, it's a gamble. You know, it's a gamble, and these days you don't gamble.
You know, I'm not a prophet, but I can tell you, the way it stands now, the players that we have, the material that we have, the coach, the technical team, that's why the change of the Black Stars Management Committee. I'm not a prophet, but I can tell you, Ghana doesn't have a chance to qualify because we have some of the teams that we are competing
to qualify for
the World Cup.
Oh, Charlie, you are spoiling plans, though.
I'm not spoiling plans.
People will be so sad.
Listen, I'm not a prophet, but I can tell you, look at Madagascar.
People will be so sad.
They are in the AFCON. You have Comoros there. These are the teams that we have. Mali, they are all there. Chad.
But say Ashe Mali. Away.
Ocean away. That 2-0. Mali has changed. When they come to Ghana, what Angola, with Pedro Concalves, they did to you at Kumasi Babara Sports Stadium. 24 years you lost.
But Charlie, we need hope.
Many things can happen.
We need hope. Let's be optimistic.
The hope is the other topic that we'll be introducing. The new Minister for Sports and Recreation, a lot of responsibility lies on him. So if he's coming to live up to the billing, I think there will be positive changes.
Well, I think what we'll do is that I was just talking to my director, and we'll have to have a program where we look at the way forward and really dig deep, you know. So let's move on. Let's come back home, and don't worry, guys. We'll definitely have that discussion when Nanedu and Evans are talking about. GPL Kotoko have, you know, they've gone to the top. Just not long ago, Kotoko were in crisis. I remember once upon a time, Ogum out, you know, disaster. You see, coaches, the life of a coach is so interesting. Look at Fabulous now. They've been consistent after beating Hearts. I think they've just dropped a point. They've drawn that thing since then, I think. They're now top, and it's going to be interesting because Gold Stars also have their ambitions to win the league. Heart of Lions have ambitions to win the league. Nations also are dreaming of it. Are you surprised that the Fabulous boys are there? Can they maintain their consistency?
I think they have a strong team. When you look at the first 7 teams on the league log, they are all capable of winning the Ghana Premier League. Our team they are strong to compete in the Premier League. Mediema, Nations FC, Bechem United, Bibiani Gold Stars, Kwando House of Lions, Accra House of Folk, and Asante Kotoko. When you look at their current squad, they have what it takes to win the Ghana Premier League. So imagine them say Kotoko are there at the moment. They have 2 away games continuous. They will play in Swatrema this particular weekend.
Tricky.
The following weekend they will play Young Apostle. If they are able to pass that particular test, and they are making Asante Kotoko are ready to win the Ghana Premier League because.
But again, necessary. What happened?
I think, you know, is a second round signing. They've brought in some experienced players to make their first round squad strong. They have Kwame Poku now, one of the best goal scorers in the Ghana Premier League. They brought in, you know, players like, you know, Kwesi Asante, who will help them in the second round. But what is making the trick for Asante Kotoko is the central defensive pair and the central midfield pair. Joseph Abulo and Samba Wunel, they are the best centre back pair in the Ghana Premier League now. And Justice Blay and Andrew Sintimenu, they are the best midfield duo in the Ghana Premier League now, and that is what is working for them. And when we look at the attack, once you have Kwame Poku, defenders is shaking because they know at any point in time we'll be master from all angles. So I think that the current squad of Asante Kotoko is one thing that is working for them.
Evans, is this the best Kotoko squad they've assembled in the last 5 years, or is still work in progress, team building?
Well, I would say it is not the best squad they've assembled in the last 5 years, if you ever ask me, because the thing is, if you check the one that squad that Ogum won the league with under the administration of Nana Amponsa, I think you had some of the experienced players at the time. Now, the coming back of Kwame Poku, as Nanedu is saying, has really helped Asante Kotoko, because if you check their player, Albert Amwa, he incurred some injury, and because of that, he was
out for 2 months.
Yes, for 2 months. And if Kwame Poku wasn't there for them, it would have been a big blow for Asante Kotoko. But one thing is, if you check their wing backs, aside the central defensive pair, their wing backs has also been splendid. Talk of Lord Amwa at the right back. He has been very, you know, good for them when it comes to the runs, defensive splitting passes that he's been distributing in terms of passes, the crosses and the cuttings. He has been doing that one, you know, impressive. If you also check Patrick Asidu, he has been also doing a enormous job for them. And then if you have this central midfielder, the Babaya, yes, and those guys who are always trying to create chances for the attackers, and in the absence of Albert Amwa, now you have Kwame Poku, who is in, who is not new to the league, because I've been his administrative manager before those days in 2019 when I was the administrative manager from Krana Warriors. Kwampuku was banging in goals during the normalization,
and that's where he was spotted.
So that's where he was spotted, and then Dr. Kwame under his tenure, they brought him to Asante Kotoko, and you remember the way and manner he was scoring goals from left and right.
He was sold.
Yes, he was sold to USM Algiers, but unfortunately those spells and the what do you call it, North Africa couldn't help, and his coming back has shown that yes, he still has a lot to offer Asante Kotoko, and I think he's been one of the reasons why Kotoko has been able to win 4 games after their loss to that is House of Folk, and they've drawn to Mediamba. You remember they had, I think, 1-1 or goalless.
Are you talking about the off-season?
No, I'm talking about Kotoko after their game against House of Folk.
Yeah.
They've won 4 games and then drew 1.
Right.
So they haven't lost any game.
Right.
And that should tell you that the squad that Ogum is currently assembling, they are, I mean, work in progress. And of course, they've also brought in some players who have experience already in the league. Okay. And I think it's been good for them. But one team that, if you ever ask me, I'll tell you that they are doing a great job is Bechem United. People are not giving them attention. You know why? Ever since they started the league and they played 9 games, they have only 2 wins. After that, things have changed. Do you know that this season, if you are checking the team that has the best home results, it's Bechem United. They haven't lost any game at home. 9 games,
8 games.
Yes, homes, like home results in the Ghana Premier League this season. 2024, yes. So you can check Bechem United. If I'm not mistaken, they played 9 games so far and they've won 7 in the league. And they've also, I mean, 2 draws. They haven't lost 11 goals, and they've conceded no goal at home at the Nana Fusu Jabo Park. And that's the reason why the team that was struggling at the start of the season, now they find themselves at the 5th position. So I think they'll be challenging the BN Gold Stars aside what we call Asante Kotoko. They beat Nations FC. You were talking about the team that had the 2 main results. They beat Nations FC 2-0. And so I think Agama and his team, they are doing well at home. But if they can also replicate this same performance at away, just like we also have the Nations FC and the others who are performing well at away, I think it will help Bechem United and things will change.
I mean, Nana, how
home advantage.
Right.
You get a point. And Bechem United so also play for the Premier League title. We need good travelers. Away result in Sadanko, home result is quite okay. But the last time they considered at home was that famous game against Asante Kotoko away. Eko winning again, man has surviving in the Ghana Premier League. Remember, we were showing that game. That game is there.
Right.
Since then, Bechem United lose two game. Now, Nations FC, they are the only team at Pando Heart of Lions. Back to Pando. So it tells you also no good result in our away games.
Right.
So it means all these teams they have what it takes to win the Ghana Premier League. But for now, Asante Kotoko and then the kind of squad depth Kotoko won. Personally, I think they are the favorite to win the Ghana Premier League.
Evans,
of course, Kotoko, yes. I think they are the favorites. You know, last week before we went to the match day 18, I heard Maxwell Asabri and Kobe Jones. They were talking about the fact that if Kotoko they are unable to win the league, I think it will be very shameful for Ogum and his technical team. Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, let me say that Kotoko, everything that they have tells you that Coach Ogum is now, working at a comfort zone for now. At the initial stages, the pressure that was being mounted on him is because of the way he cleared out some of the squad after the end of the season. Last season, and then he recruited, new players because he told everybody that when he came earlier, he was going to Samates and some of the players that he wanted, they had joined other teams. So I think right now he is at a comfortable position to do what he needs to do, and they stand in a better position to win. Meanwhile, they have this competition from the likes of Bechem United, the Nations FC, and the Bibiani Gold Stars, who I believe they can win. But Hearts of Oak, Coach Ouattara,
they are not out of it.
They are not out of it. No. But the fact is, are they going to stop drawing games, whether away or home?
Second round is very important.
Second round, they need to double up. Hearts of Oak need to double up. This game against Heart of Lions, they're going to play against the experienced Bashir Hayford. Do you think they are coming to this game? Look at the way they perform. At some point in time, Heart of Lions, they find themselves at the top of the table.
But so this is a game that had to be saying that, guys, we need to win this game, get that psychology, get the confidence, get our season back on track. And if you can beat Heart of Lions, straight away you're back in the top 4. You have a chance.
I think the major problem for Heart of Oak is over-reliance on certain players is causing them. Heart of Oak team any reliable centre forward apart from Hamza Issa. So it tells you it's one area where Heart of Oak need to strengthen.
Oh, Hamza Issa pair.
Hamza Issa free, as Samuel Free form is not the same. Kwabena Boateng form is the same. The pressure has been on Hamza Issa. One of the players who was also helping them in the first round, Sadi Muhammad, Omar transfer no call. So it tells you say they need a perfect replacement for that particular position in the team. Hussein Alonso is doing well for the club, and the other players, Theophilus Collins. But I think the pressure on Hamza Issa is too much for him as a young chap. So they would need somebody who will come and help Hamza Issa up front to make sure they will do the trick for them. But they are facing Pando Heart of Lions. One, Kwejo Obin Jr., who is their former player, has a score to settle with House of Oak. Their former players part of the House of Lions team, even though recent times on time in starting place. But one of the key players in the team. Michel Sapon is also in the team. So it tells you the game against Pando House of Lions on Friday will be one of the reasons why I bet you say if House of Oak can win the league or not. But I think it's going to be a beautiful game on Sunday.
Friday. No doubt about it. We're here with Evans Kwabena Sapon as well. He's joined us. Prince Annan is taking leave for an assignment. Wednesday, vetting of the Sports and Recreation Minister designate. And, we were talking about this issue of what must be done and the role the minister must play to help, not to be an antagonist, but also to clean up. So it's all about air balancing that. It's a difficult one for
I think
Honorable Kofi Adams.
Honorable Kofi Adams has become a new face at the Ministry of Sports and Recreation. Now we have metamorphosis when it comes to the name, but the Sports and Recreation, someone will ask, what are you supposed to do? First of all, nowadays, of course, recent years, it has been like Minister of Football, Minister of Black Stars.
coach atene omobo ane na hu se ukwa aya wonga voter side nso aya Mighty Warriors also energy aya voter league no ana nei wodi aya super cup no enso abetimi abehye so awo aya Adan beach say na oba I mean ahaye there min Canada everything is going on I mean I can say there bibia koye o hwe mechire a o se nei oba Adama mu ha yawo aya omo coach atene omo bo ane na and a Fatima Mudi area Mighty Warriors also voter side. Then I expect it. Now, so feeling it is I think the America say me buy a feeling, no, one of the best Americans when it comes to beach soccer. Oh, had the Kosovo before me bahano, now me was certain mindset about the beach soccer. But me bahano, the kind of personalities, the kind of fans I know who will be soccer national.
Headquarters. All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. Short pause. There's a lot to talk about. Kwabena Evans Sapong, I've got the other way right, is here, and so too Nana Edu. Ghana Premier League, Odiamak, Asante Kotoko. Now you think they're the favourites, or you're calling it for Asante Kotoko?
They are the favourites.
They are the favourites.
Looking at their current squad.
Right.
The head coach there. I don't think we have more than 3 Ghana Premier League coaches. Our league in so far. We win the Premier League. We don't have more than 3. Yeah. So we Samuel Bodu, now we Bashir Hilford, now we Prosper Toguma. There is no other coach in the Premier League. We win be that. Yeah. So if that thing is there for Asante Kotoko and the current players there and the managers who are managing the team now, I think they are able to win it.
Ouattara, anytime you talk to him, he's always like, oh, we're behind, we'll catch up. He doesn't want to make himself the favorite, but House of Oak is House of Oak. Open we need 1, 2, 3, and they start to build momentum, the supporters start pushing behind them. You never know, they can get a run of matches, over that second, then they can now challenge for the title.
Absolutely. So the thing is, Coach Ouattara and his lads, they have to use this Pando Heart of Lions game to tell the House of Oak fraternity that things are about to change on a positive note. Because if, like I'm saying, you are drawing games, away games, you are drawing against Samatex and Basake Holy Stars, you are drawing games. No, you have to win. You need to let people know that that's the reason why sometimes you ask yourself, who are the people behind the House of Oak's recruitment? Kotoko, we saw the additions that they did. What about House of Oak? They've brought in Kwesi Asma and all those guys. But what do you call it? Setosei. Are these the guys who are coming to change? Are they going to be the live wire for House of Oak in the second round? So personally, Yaw Ampofo Ankrah, I believe Coach Ouattara and his lads, whether he likes it or not, these are the material that he has in his disposal. He needs to make use of, make good use of them. And against Heart of Lions, they need to, give a positive result by winning that game. And if it happens so, then they will be closing the gap between they and their favorites, Asante Kotoko. Of course, everybody, every connoisseur, pundit of the game, aficionado of the game, who has been a follower of this particular season's Premier League, will tell you that Kotoko are now the favorites. Looking at the materials that Ogum is using now and the way manner they are, I mean, turning results.
I don't think Hearts of Oak is strong enough to win the league. Yeah. I don't think they will even win on Friday.
When I was even mentioning the team that will be competing Kotoko for the title, I didn't give them a mention. I told you BBN Gold Stars, Nations, and probably Bechem United, who seems to be, the team who are having the best home results so far this season. Yeah.
And another thing you need to consider is that if you look at the purchases Hearts of Oak made in the transfer window, right, is that going to boost their squad considerably?
That's why I said that I don't think they are going to be the live wire. Seto says he's a good midfielder. He has a bunch of experience from Asgold, we all know. But the fact is, Seto hasn't been in the league. The current form that he possesses, he can't compete many of these midfielders who are performing to the utmost best for now.
So been played football
yes,
for 1 year.
Yeah, you understand. So you have to, train just like before Kwampoku started playing for Asante Kotoko against Mediama. He had already been training with
BBN Gold Stars.
He has already been training with Asante Kotoko all this while. So if you ask yourself, look at the situation for Setose. He had to go to South Africa, come back. The Kotoko, they were chasing him before finally in the second round. Hearts of Oak were able to capture him. So I think they are not going to be the booster for Hearts of Oak. The material that he's already using, the attackers and some of the midfielders, they need to double up their performance. If not, Hearts of Oak, they may find themselves maybe below 10 at the end of the season.
A lot was expected of Samatex and Mediama. After the African Express, it looks like they're losing, pace with the leaders.
Of course,
most of the times, some of these football administrators, the amount of money are pumping in the season. If they don't get returns, the following season normal be do. And I had this report from some people in Samana Boy. It got to last in some time of the season. Now upon the concentration in our team, so instead of other businesses, other investment, some boy. So some of the workers were complaining. So I said this particular year, and attention in our team, so this particular year, decided say equal opportunity, equal situation. The club and the other business, no one in here will find themselves in the situation he finds himself in. So I think it's one of the reasons why Samatex air struggled this particular season. When you look at a team like in Swatremai, imagine him personally, Papa lose, is the reason why I never for football this particular season never form because the motivation for doing in Swatraman team is for the community. I say about to say me losing the seat as an MPR. That fame never gone all the year team the last season is not the same. And I understand there are other internal issues here, every color they and other management members of Swatraman were fighting for.
Evans, Lagos cities, they're not safe. Every season, Yaw Champions in the background right of the screen.
That is Adosowa.
Yeah, they've got some players. Former Hearts of Oak band Adosowa is there. Can they make an impact, survive, and even do better than they've got matches? But
since Yaw Champion came, if you look at the positive results now, Lagos cities they are getting after the sack of Parkwesi Fabian after he left. I think if they are able to continue on this particular trajectory, Lagos cities they will be able to survive. This season, if we are going to be honest, if we are not going to see that kind of thing that happened between the House of Folk issue that happened during the one that Nana Adu was talking about, which happens to be Bechem United last loss at the Nana Fosu Jabo Park. If we do not witness some, Gibbs FC are likely to go to relegation. Accra Lions, they seem to be victimized after they came out and all that. These referee situation, all that. You have what's the name, Alex Cotte, this referee's manager still defending Maxwell Hansen after the video that we all saw. You see, these are some of the things that will be playing a role against some of these teams. So if they are going to go to relegation, the officiating aspect will play a key role. But I think if Lagos cities they are able to continue with this same trajectory that since ever since that coach Yaw Champion came, they've been able to gather positive results. I think they'll be able to survive in the league.
Personally, I think Young Apostle.
Our time is up, unfortunately. Always, when we're enjoying and we're, climbing up the hill, then we have to sorry about that, guys. Our time is up. Big thanks, of course, to Kwabena Ivan Sapon and also to Nana Edu. Thursday, we would come back and review the vetting of Honorable Kofi Adams. We'll keep an eye on that one as well and tell you more also on the countdown to the Black Stars matches in March. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye for now.
coaches.